am in the people's business, whatever business that is. I am in it right now. I am exploring and I'm building a digital product academy, a digital health academy for women over 35, high achieving, doing it's called the Reset CEO.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Cam Hemphill here, your host for the Medical Millionaire podcast. Hey, thank you so much for taking the time to tune in. Our goal is to give incredible value and insight for practice owners. If you're thinking about becoming a practice owner or you're looking to scale your practice, every single one of these episodes that we create, they're 100% designed for you and to help elevate your business, help elevate your practice and your life. Guys, I have an incredible guest on today. She's all the way from Havana, Cuba. She grew up without electricity, no running water, no food, to owning one of the most successful medical aesthetics practices in Florida, generating over $150,000 a month with just one full-time provider. This story is truly about resilience. It's about purpose. It's about building the American dream. I want to welcome Nelly Gal to the show. Nelly, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much, Cam. I'm so happy to be here. I've been listening to your podcast for a while, and I'm super grateful and very honored to be in your podcast because I know that I know the quality of your guests and what they bring to the table and the value that you give here. So I'm very thankful that we have this time to spend together and to spread the good word.
That's right. I really appreciate you joining. I know that we've tried to schedule this a couple times and life has gotten in our way. So I'm so happy to finally be on with you. And we were just, talking a little offline about, what the American dream is all about. And I think some of us lose sight of that. I think we lose sight in the sense of always wanting more, um, you know, really getting lost within the intent and the purpose of what we're doing. And to build on that from like a provider standpoint, right? I think from a provider standpoint, owning a practice, you finally get to this world of owning a practice, which is a massive achievement. You start to get patients, you start to get revenue. And there's this burning desire of always wanting more bookings, growth, scalability, which is great. But along that journey, we need to understand what our purpose and intent is. And so I think for the audience, like you have an incredible story that got you to where you are, an incredible story. And there's many milestones and things that went along that journey. And so walk us through the origin story. Like, what is it like to grow up in Cuba as a child? Walk us through that.
Well, okay, so there are two ways of seeing this, right? One way is yes, I mean, Cuba is a communist country. As a lot of you know, Cuba is on the list of terrorist countries, the list of countries that are being, blocked from doing business with America, etc. So my childhood was very poor, and yes, we didn't have running water a lot of the time. We didn't have electricity, um, you know, days, weeks at a time. And by the way, that has not changed today. Today, 2025, I mean, my whole family is in Cuba and they still have no electricity for 10 hours a day sometimes. So
Jeez.
nothing has really changed dramatically. So growing up there it was actually fun at the most because we had to deal with connections, actually building relationships with people. Kind of like when you don't have much, right? All you have is each other. And I did have many instances, very beautiful childhood, growing up with friends, growing up with family, but at the same time, very sad because I did not have what, you guys have here, all this abundance. So it was very tough. I mean, there were many nights that we didn't have anything to eat, and you just go to sleep hungry. And you never think about those things here. And now, here in my life in America, it's amazing. So I'm just very grateful that I was able to do that. So growing up was hard. Um, it was with a lot of pain, you know, but happy in the sense that there were connection, there was purpose, there was love available, because that's the only thing that we had. So yeah, that was my experience growing up there, going to school, making friends, everybody would share everything that they had. So if one, child had a little bit more bread than the other one, then share it, right? So that's something that I'm so proud of, to have been around this sort of like socializing, versus here in America. It's very different. Um, so yeah, that's kind of like the story of growing up, and like me, thousands upon thousands, of children born around that time, and still today being born into that, poverty.
Yeah.
This is what it all means.
Yeah. I think like I'm from America, born and raised here. Um, and I think, I try really hard to realize all the opportunity that we
Hmm.
have.
Hmm.
I think some of us get locked in this entitlement in the sense of I'm American, I'm from here, and everything should be given to me. And I'm not saying everybody. I'm just saying there's. I think social media kind of amplifies that a little bit too, where we kind of lose sight of who we are in a way and where we're from if we're from here. I'm not saying always. I'm just saying we have the ability to do that if you're from
Exactly.
here. I
Exactly.
found that in my personal life, right? Like as I look at my surroundings right now, it's I have electricity, I have food, I have water, I have shelter, and I think I've had that since inception. Um, and it's like you don't realize how important something is until you don't have it. And I'll build on that for a sec. I was visiting Utah, my hometown, this summer, and we were fortunate enough to be able to acquire a home back there. And when I was visiting, when we first got there, I realized that the house actually didn't have electricity or water, and it was just because they were doing some maintenance. And we didn't have water or AC or electricity for two of the first days we were there. And you don't realize, like, oh my gosh, nothing works. The lights don't work. My wife couldn't do her hair. We couldn't do
Yep.
wash. We couldn't like
Yep.
cook. We couldn't do anything. And you quickly realize that, man, we are so blessed to have these things at our fingertips. And so
Absolutely.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's incredible the amount of gratefulness that you can experience, and blessings that you can experience when you've lived in both worlds.
Yeah.
So I can be very happy with very little. And when people start complaining around me, especially clients, people come in there like, oh my God, fix this wrinkle because I'm gonna die if people see me like lifting an eyebrow. I'm like, girl,
Calm down. Calm down.
you will
Yeah.
survive, okay?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's all good. But yeah, I've come to America with the sense of like, damn, this is my life. Wow, I
Mhm.
get to do all these things. I remember one time, the first time I came. So how I got to America, just to kind of like give you an idea. I know we discussed this. Is I was in hitchhiking, like asking for a ride from university in Cuba, the University of Havana, to my home. And I've done that for 4 years straight. 4 years waking up 2 hours before class to hitchhike, because there are no buses. I didn't have a car, and people don't have cars like that. There's
How old were you when you started hitchhiking?
Oh, I was like 12, 15 years old.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I got an 11-year-old. Just putting things in perspective here. 11-year-old daughter, by the way.
Can you imagine your daughter
No, I
hitchhiking?
can't. I can't imagine that at all. No,
So I
especially in Cuba.
started, yeah, and again, I am not special. This is the life of hundreds of thousands of people. Okay,
Hmm.
so it's nice. I was hitchhiking for 4 years coming from university, and this time an Audi just passed by, and this guy like looked at me, and I looked at him, and he stopped, and it was the red light. I mean, it was a green light, so he was not supposed to stop the car. And he did. And then which is, I spoke English because I was in tourism and hospitality in university. And he asked me where the pharmacy was. I took him for the pharmacy, and we started to hang out. And 5 months afterwards, from him coming back and forward to Cuba to see me, we got married. And 2 months after that, I was living in South Beach in the pinnacle of abundance. I remember going to the CVS to look for paper towel. And the first time I went to the CVS, I sat on the floor and I cried because There were too many options. I just didn't know which one is better, what to try, what to eat.
Wow.
And to this day, that like gets me teary because I had to leave. I was like, I can't do this, and I went home without anything, um, because of just the amount of options and abundance that I was not used to. So that's one of the memories that I have that are very like, fresh in my head 20 years ago when I came, you know. But yeah, it's a really tough reality. And again, super blessed to wake up in this country every single day. And my whole family is there. My whole family is in Cuba. I don't have anyone here. My mom is here. I brought her 3 years ago. But besides her, everyone is there. And everyone depends on the fruits of my labor.
Mm.
So, going back to having purpose, going back to keeping, why are you doing what you're doing, deeper than just wanting to buy the, the year's car, or the, that next home somewhere,
Hmm.
is, can you live without that? And would you still have a purpose if you didn't have, all of those things? What drives you? What wakes you up from bed? So,
Yeah, I mean, you have deep rooted purpose.
yeah.
And that's very important as an entrepreneur and as you grow your practice, right? To understand what that intent and that purpose is, and giving back, helping your family. Obviously, them being in Cuba, I'm sure they look at you as a very important role within the ecosystem and provider. And that's amazing. And I think more people that, for the listeners, guys, I think more of us need to think the way, the Nelly way, actually. I think we really, in America, we get really caught up
Mm-hmm.
in the fact of we need the next best thing, the next fancy car, the nice watch, the bigger house, the keeping up with the Joneses, the bow. It's almost like it's never good enough.
Correct.
Um, but what's interesting is when you study entrepreneurs, very successful entrepreneurs, a lot of them are migrants.
Mm-hmm.
A ton of them.
I feel like
I
they
mean,
have to prove something. And,
yeah.
it is rooted in the family unit, but also in the mentality of like, I am giving an opportunity. I
Hmm.
am responsible for my opportunity. There are hundreds and thousands of people that would literally give their lives so that their children could be here living the life that I live and that you live. So it would be so disrespectful to not act on the tools that are available, um, the opportunities, the people, the relationships. It would just be such a waste to not connect those dots, and not make an actual impact in somebody's life. That's kind of my motto. I'm like, I always pray to God. I'm like, God, give me opportunities to be helpful to people, because at the end of the day, that's why I'm here to be helpful, however I can, with my clients, with my family. I mean, we were just talking about, I don't know if you noticed, or have been reading anything about Cuba, but the issue with the electricity, it's terrible. My family doesn't have electricity, sometimes 10 hours every day. And I'm here thinking about how can I change my blinds in my house for $10,000 versus I have to buy solar panels for my family. Because if I don't buy solar panels for them, they are not going to have electricity and they cannot eat because there is no gas. So gas on the stove, you can cook with gas. There
Hmm.
is no If there is no electricity, you can cook with an electric kitchen, right?
Right.
And there's no wood, so people are not going out there and like, cutting, trees. So what are they going to do? How are they going to eat? How are they going to cook their foods? How are they going to keep the food cold if they don't have electricity? And believe me, my family is extremely lucky that I
Mm.
am here. What happened to those people who have no one?
Oh my
You
gosh.
have to think about that, and it breaks my heart to even think about it. So yes, I move differently than a lot of people because I have to. You know, uh, it's a blessing and a curse, because if I didn't have them, I would have all of these other things, but then I will have no purpose as well. in
Yeah.
a way, or it will be harder to find that purpose outside of like the material things.
Yeah, I just did a quick Google search. I was not familiar with all the recent power outages, but it seems like based on the research that I was just doing when you were talking,
Yeah,
there's been a ton of blackouts,
yeah.
and millions of people are without power,
Mhm.
right? And here we over, we're in the U.S., and I get pissed off if I don't have internet connection. If my Wi-Fi's down, like I throw a fit.
Yeah,
If I don't have access on the phone, like it's almost like we're so ingrained to quick access to connectivity as Americans. We take it for granted. Um, and I can't relate on your level of what it was like growing up there. I have done some humanitarian trips with my daughters to Costa Rica. We've helped families. I've seen how some people live that are very poor, also have the biggest smiles on their face ever, which is so eye opening.
crazy. It's
It
crazy.
doesn't take much to make people happy, right?
No,
Like
at that
community,
point, at that
Yeah.
point, like you have to find the happiness in the little things, you know.
Yep.
There isn't anything else. So people find happiness in like having, a little chat, a little coffee with their friend from the corner, or,
Hmm.
chatting, or, maybe having like a little glass of rum or something.
Yep.
But yeah, there isn't anything like, there's no car of the year. There's no, let's go to the movies. Things as simple as going to the movies, as, going to a restaurant. They can't afford it. They can't afford to
Yeah.
go to a restaurant. They cannot afford to go and like have a beer somewhere.
Right.
It's insane. And I keep telling my clients, I keep telling people, like, we are so lucky. I mean,
Yeah.
in this like reality today of you and I sitting here, we could have been like in some other place going through
Hmm.
all of these things, but
Totally.
yet we're here. So how blessed we are.
Super blessed. And I mean, I think a lot of time we take it, like I said, we took it for granted. We continuously do. And the more you're exposed to, right, the more you're exposed to, the more wants and desires you have.
Yeah.
It's like going back to your beer comment. The moment you go have a beer with a buddy, you want to do it again. Now you look at the restaurants that have gone from mediocre restaurants to nice restaurants to five-star restaurants. And now it's almost like I was at STK. It's like a presentation now. They brought it's almost like a whole presentation with like fireworks and all this crap was going off, and these people are looking and clapping there. I'm like, what is happening? So now they're selling this whole experience, and charging just an arm and a leg for it. It just embarrassed to even talk about what the bill was, but it's kind of what you're exposed to. So ignorance is bliss, in a way.
It
And
really is. Yeah.
yeah.
I agree. I think
So.
that there is nothing wrong with wanting exposure as long as you have a purpose and you
Mhm.
understand where you're going and what are you doing all of this for. Because, for example, I used to be extremely guilty of doing a lot of things in my life that required a large amount of money, because it was self-serving. And I
Mm.
still live with that guilt every single day. Every time I eat a steak, every time I eat lobster, every time I eat seafood, every time I have a glass of, Veuve Clicquot, like every time I get, in a nice, my car, I'm like, oh my God, my family cannot afford this. My family cannot afford that. And then it's okay. I kind of moved away from the guilt, but a
Mhm.
lot of like, you can get so wrapped up into it, that you start feeling empty. There's an emptiness in you if there's anything, if there's nothing other than, those fancy things in your life.
Yeah, I think it's sad. I think it's a sad way to live. I think that there's a lot more intentional purpose out there, way to give back, and I think it goes back to your roots of relying on each other, building community, building trust,
Yeah.
building an honor system, having each other's back,
Mhm.
and building that up from what each other have and how we can work within a community. Maybe there's a tradesman inside of the community, as when you lived in Cuba, that was better than other people. There's someone else could cook better, hunt,
Mhm.
fish, whatever it is, and you kind of rely on each other. And, I think us as Americans and business owners and entrepreneurs need to think about, on that,
Mhm.
so as you're running your practice, are there things that are sitting around that you guys don't need, right? Is that expensive laser? Do you need a robust service menu to be profitable? Do you need all the latest and greatest tech? Do you need robust headcount? Can you continue to live within your means? And as you start to make profits at your practice, this is one of the biggest mistakes I see. So for the listeners out there, if you guys are running your practice or scaling your practice, and you've achieved profitability, like true profitability, to where you're paying yourself and you're making money, excess cash, uh, what are you doing with that cash?
Mm-hmm.
Are you buying something, the fancy shoes, the nice watch, the nice purse, the bag, the car? And look, nice things are great. I get that, but at the same time, I would also strongly encourage you to invest in your future, invest in your business, and give back to the community, and not lose sight of where you came from, and continue to educate yourself, because the ones that do, the ones that start to get the profit, and they invest correctly, they invest wisely, they have intent, they have purpose, they have a vision, they go back to why they started their practice. Those are the ones that survive. Or else you just have a practice that, hey, continues to do 100 grand a month, 150, 200, 300, but you're never making profits because you're spending all the profits and your lifestyle never changes,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Continues to go up.
It
Yeah.
just continues to grow. You just continue to want more. You need more. You need more. And all of a sudden, your practice now, let's just say, is doing, $1 million a month. And hey, that's wonderful. But if you're not creating profitability and a long term standard, like, there's no difference between having a $50,000 a month practice or $1 million a month practice if your expenses and your lifestyle correlate with that income, right? So keep the income high, continue to grow, but also learn to live within your means and to learn to live, lean, So I think there's a lot that we can take in from this, from the initial conversation here. Now let's talk on that for a sec, Nelly. So as you came, I know you went to New York,
Mm-hmm.
you built out a concept medical aesthetics practice, and then you went down to Florida. Can you walk us through why you left? Because I know that there was a lot of emotion there, fear there. Walk us through that, and then we want to learn all about Live Vibrant. I want the audience to hear the success behind how you've been able to get the practice to where it is.
Yeah. So I used to have a medical spa up in New York City for about 6 years, where I was not the provider. I was the esthetician. I was the manager. I was the cleaning lady. I was the salesperson. I was the phone person. You freaking name it, I did it. Um, and that was so wonderful. Like, I learned so much about basically keeping people happy. Number one, how to take care of the customer, how to take care of employees, how do I want it to talk to my employees, the feel of the practice, the consultation process, all of these different things. So when my medical director was like, why don't you just go to PA school and just do it? The only thing that you're missing is the title. So that's when I went. I went to PA school. At that time, Groupon came on in New York, and we used to have a very strong practice of laser hair removal.
Mm.
And the Zerona and the, I don't know if you recall the Zerona,
Mm-hmm.
and Botox, and we took a huge hit because at the time we did not know how to take care, like how to actually be profitable with the Groupon. We just didn't know how to adjust. We didn't know how to operate, right? We were very like, no, we're not a Groupon, office. We're not this. And then we started to get into it, but it was too late, so we had to close the office because it didn't make sense to continue fighting.
Okay.
And we closed it. We sold pretty much everything. We closed the office. I went to PA school, became a neurosurgical physician assistant, so nothing to do with the med spa field. And I was just not happy. There was there's no rhyme or reason. It was just empty. That felt very empty. And I knew I wanted to be my own boss. I was struggling with that. I didn't want to be an employee. I just don't have that employee mindset. I believe I, you know, our time here on earth is so limited that I want to be in control of my time. I want to be in control of everything in my life as much as I can, and asking for permission only to God and to my clients, you know. So it was something that I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur and get back to, you know, having another clinic. And then I'm Cuban, New York weather, fought 12 years with the New York weather, and I just could not. So I told my husband at the time, I'm like, are you coming to Florida with me or am I going to Florida? So we came to Florida. I did, you know, we didn't work out, and I found um, a MedSpa that was looking for a provider for a new office,
Hmm.
and they were willing to train. And it was Liquivita. I don't know if you've heard about Liquivita
Hmm.
here in South Florida. I love them. They gave me an opportunity. I sold myself. I think obviously I had no experience with injectables ever, you know, because I didn't do them, but I knew everything about the sales process, everything about the clinic, how the clinic should be run. I knew everything about customer service. So the only thing that I had to get trained on was the actual, you know, physical procedures.
Hmm.
So they were very gracious after hundreds of emails that I sent them, because I was not taking no for an answer. I'm like, you're going to hire me either you like it or not. So I was very, you know, forceful in a way. It's like I have to get this job, because if I don't get this job, if I don't get in the actual industry this way, it's just going to take so much longer. So in my brain, I was like, yeah, I already know that in 2 years I'm going to have enough repetitions. And that practice was a Groupon practice, and they were very successful.
Hmm.
So it was a Groupon practice. I saw hundreds, like thousands of women, thousands of people within those 2 years, because the prices were good, and we were just kind of like rinse and repeat. I formed really great relationships with patients within that 30-minute allotted time with patients.
Yeah.
And then at 2 years, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go on my own, because I think I have learned everything that I can from this place, and that I don't want to ask permission, and I want to be able to call the shots. I want to be able to go to Cuba whenever I want to. And that's when I bet on myself. I had a couple of $1,000s to my name. I went out of my divorce in debt, and a couple $1,000s to my name, and I was like, you know what, I just need to go and find a little space. I know how to do the treatments. I just need a little space, and I'm just going to start working. And I put my first Groupon out there, and people started coming in. People started, like, you know, recommending and being, you know, coming
Hmm.
back and getting more stuff. And I'm like, god damn, like, I'm good, I can do this.
Hmm.
And that's when, you know, from a little cubicle, like 10 by 10, I hired my first, like, assistant. She would do all the phone calls, she would do all the bookings, she would, you know, get money, she would get commissions as well on the, you know, on this, on her sales. And then a year and a half after that little, you know, salon suite situation, I was able to get into, like, a, you know, a larger space with like 5 rooms, and little by little get one employee, another one, and always with Groupon. I swear to God, people are like, oh, you know, people, injectors and Groupon should be ashamed and blah blah blah. And I'm like, you know what? I'm I have a purpose. I need to pay bills. I need to make money. Like,
Hmm. Hmm.
however, the most honest way, however it's gonna take me there, I will do it.
Yeah.
I don't care what any of them think. And I used to go to a lot of different conferences and a lot of different just meetings, and I would hear the injectors like talk, like being very demeaning to injectors and Groupon. Um, and I would just keep quiet, because you know what? I was ranking in the back. I'm like, okay, you can say whatever you want, but I'm here. I'm profitable. I'm making money. I'm working, you know, 3 days a week, 4 days a week max. Like, I have no boss. Um, and little by little, it got to the point where now I'm working again 2 to 3 days a week. I have another practitioner; she's coming in full time. I have two estheticians, two, you know, one manager and one sales girl, and a lash artist. And you know, we're doing really good numbers. So That's the story.
That's amazing. I mean, so that was you moved down there in what, 2021, right?
2019.
2019. Okay. So you moved down to Florida in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
You joined Liquivita.
Mm-hmm.
You spent a tremendous amount of time with patients.
Mm-hmm. Tremendous.
You
Tremendous.
learn great sales skills.
Yeah.
You learn great personal skills or build on your personal skills, your communication skills, your treatment skills, your marketing skills. Understand how this Liquivita for the listeners, guys, a franchise model, lots of locations all over. And so, you had a great opportunity to peek under the hood
Yeah.
of how a successful practice is operating.
Yeah, and
And
how you can use Groupon if you're
mhm,
new. I mean, nobody knows about you. Nobody knows your skill. Nobody knows your name.
yeah,
You have
yeah,
to, unless you have hundreds of thousands of dollars on marketing, you know, budget to go on Facebook and Instagram and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a year.
yeah, it's expensive.
You got to start with bootstrapping, and that's what I
Mhm.
did. So,
Yeah, you saw a model that worked
mhm,
and you built on it. And I think, for practice owners or people that want to scale or get in the business, like this is the perfect story of someone that, obviously just getting to America was I mean, we could talk about that for for the entire show, but to build on the entrepreneur journey,
mhm,
to open up a practice, realize what you like, what you don't like, you want to own your own destiny, you want to go on this journey yourself, and then to study from a proven method,
mhm,
right? To ingest that and then say, you know what, I'm going to go. There's nothing more for me to learn here. I've kind of capped out, and recognize that you can go do this on your own. And again, betting on yourself. And I think most people don't bet on themselves. And there's this fear, right? Fear can overwhelm you. It can bring you down. It could say, well, I could go out on my own, but
mhm,
I'm pretty comfortable here. It's guaranteed paycheck. Some people think, employment's guaranteed paycheck. It's not. It's up to the business profitability.
mhm.
And, you then go, you took, you took a risk and a leap of faith and bet on yourself. And based on your history, that if you bet on yourself, you're going to win because you're resilient and you're tough and you're not going to give up. Right. And then so you start to open up your small practice.
Mhm,
You start going down a marketing channel that is working because you've seen it historically,
mhm.
and you start to get patients in the door. Patients come in the door, you build rapport, you build a robust patient list, and the practice continues to grow. So, walk us through, right? Because you opened up Live Vibrant in what, 2023? Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, my clinic was I think, oh my god, 2020, yeah, 2023, like January 2023.
Okay.
Yes, January 2023 was when I opened my clinic. So um it
That was when you had the 10 by 10 room too?
no, the 10 by 10 was before.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Was that a different name?
no, it's the same name. I just had it
Same name, just
from
you got a different
smaller
location.
to like a bigger location. Yeah,
How long were you in that 10 by 10 location?
a year and a half.
You're in there a year and a half. And how many, if you can remember, how many patients, like what was your patient database before you said, I'm going to go get a bigger space?
It was so, guys.
You don't have to be exact. I'm just
Oh no,
curious.
it's fine. But I started with a day a week, and then this is what happened. So what happened was that because I have so much experience, I know how to talk to the patient and recommend, and not be salesy and not be sticky, and then build on honesty. So
Mm.
when it people just continue to come back, I recommend this, treatment plan that will just continue to come back and continue to come back, and it got to a point where it's not that I was just making really good numbers on my own. Like I got to make like $65,000 in that little treatment room, and I'm like,
And that's your top line revenue.
yeah, I'm like,
And what's the profit on something like that when you're in
at
six?
that point for myself,
Yeah.
it was
Hmm.
half. It was
Oh
half
my
because
gosh,
it was
you're
just me.
making great money.
Exactly.
You're making, how long did it take you to go from 0 to 65,000 a month?
A year and a half.
It took a year and a half. Okay, so I mean, you continue to show up and show up and show up.
Show up.
You made a couple call outs there that were really stood with me. One of them was that you weren't salesy and you gave them great information. You talked to them. You had experience.
I can talk
That
for ages.
and then you said the word treatment plan.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. I want you to talk about that for a sec, because that consultation, that advice is where I see a lot of providers confuse salesiness with
Hmm.
professional information to get them on the treatment plan to get the desire that they need. And it requires them to come back. I
Exactly.
want you to build on that for a sec for us.
Well, it was very simple. So, from a business standpoint and from a professional standpoint, you know that if you're treating a certain diagnosis, it was not going to go away in one day, right?
Mm,
As medical providers, we have to have a treatment plan. When you go to school, you're like, okay, so for example, somebody with diabetes, I'm just giving you an example, right? You're going to have to
yep.
do XYZ, your lifestyle, exercise, you're going to have to get probably, obviously medication. So, there's a multiple areas of where if you don't do one or the other one, you're not going to get the same result. So if you are eating crap and you're taking still your metformin, you're not going to lower your A1C, maybe a point or two. But if you're doing everything right, then your results are going to be faster and they're going to be, you know, longer lasting. So with that mindset, when you go into aesthetics, people think that aesthetics is like a commodity, right? But you have
Mm,
to see it as a diagnosis as well. So you cannot just look at, yeah, I'm here for my 20 units of Botox in my forehead. All right,
that's
I
a
don't start,
commodity.
right? I don't start with that. I'm like, okay, why are we here today? What prompted you to come in and spend this time for yourself? Talk to me a little bit about that. And they're like, oh yeah, I'm here, I do this twice a year. I just want my 20 units. I'm like, okay, so let's talk a little bit about skincare. So I just don't stop there. I always continue to have an open conversation. Well, now that you mention, um, this brown spot is really bothering me. Oh, let's talk a little bit about the brown spot. And then you build onto that. I'm also, when somebody comes to me and they're like, I just want my 20 units, just kind of standoffish, don't talk to me about anything else. I'm like, okay, well, I am here. I'm going to tell you exactly all of the menu of the services that we have, so that if anything kind of, piques an interest, you can ask questions for next time. My thing is always the next time. I
Mm,
never have people say, I never say to people, oh, you have to do it today. Or like,
hmm.
I hate that. I'm like, you're coming for your 20 units. Most people, that's what they have in their head, 20 units, one lip filler. So they're coming prepared with that money, and now you're trying to sell them like $2,000-3,000 package today. It doesn't work like that. So when I feel resistance from the client, I always resort to like, for the next time, or if you have questions about anything that I'm going to be talking about, we can have a conversation. There's no, you know, there's nothing uh, too bad about
There's
it.
no pressure.
There's
Yeah.
no pressure. That's the word. There's no pressure. So, and always with a smile. A lot of practitioners don't smile. They are very, medical, or see people as numbers. I mean,
Hmm.
I can sit here for hours and tell you stories about how my clients come in. They're like, "You're so warm. You're so nice." Nobody, I normally go to these very fancy offices with all the newest, modern furniture, and everything is, top of the line, and they see me as a number. So I actually sit with people because I actually like people more so than I like injecting.
That's huge.
I like people. I want to learn about your life. I'm nosy. Like, tell
Mm,
me what
yeah.
happened
Yeah.
since the
It's
last time
good.
I
It's
saw you,
good.
right?
Yeah.
And I build a treatment plan around that not only includes your 20 units of Botox. We're going to talk about hormones. We're going to talk about hydration. We're going to talk about your lifestyle. We're going to talk about, skincare. We're going to talk about when was the last time you had a facial? When was the last time you had a massage? Because that lets me know what kind of investor you are, what level of
Mm,
investment you do in yourself. So if I hear that I haven't done anything for 2 years, I know that you're not going to necessarily come and, splash out $2,000-3,000, because it's not in your wheelhouse right now. You're not somebody that's investing in herself for a long
yeah.
time. So with those patients, you got to little by little mold them, get them back. I bring everybody for a follow up, come on for a follow up. I discuss the treatment plan that I had recommended in that follow up 2 weeks before. What do you think about XYZ? Oh, you know what, Nelly, let's do it. Let's book it. Okay. Let's go to the front and get a deposit. Or, Nelly, I don't have the ability right now. I'm traveling. I'm like, no worries. My team will reach out to you in 2 weeks to see where you're standing. So it's a lot of that relationship building that it's taking my business to the next level. Like right now, I am in the process of hiring an executive virtual assistant because I want that person to only do relationship building
Mhm.
only. So I want her to know like when are the anniversaries for my patients, like who is the boyfriend, who's the husband, you know, when is their birthday, where they like things that it's a luxurious service, like you should be
Yeah.
taken care of. And that's why people come back to me. To be honest, like I'm not the best injector, like I'm good. I'm not, you know, there's no pizzazz. It's just I do good job, but I'm very relatable and I'm
Hmm.
happy and I'm really genuinely interested in people. So that's in my experience, that's my secret sauce in a way.
You're amazing. I mean, it's
Yeah.
you're just the way that you communicate without even knowing it, and maybe you know it, but I've had a lot of guests on,
Yeah.
and very few of them say, "I build
Mm-hmm.
this treatment plan that's designed based upon the information that they tell me because I ask them questions."
Correct.
You're qualifying the patient.
Yeah.
You're qualifying, and you call it
Yeah.
the investor of yourself. I love that, by the way. And it's so true because there's different people on different journeys where how long have they been visiting a medical aesthetics practice? You know, if it's visit one versus visit 100, different type of investor, different type of profile, different type of patient, different type of qualification standards. Um,
Different
it,
language that you're going to use,
different language. Yeah,
like
they're way
different
more educated,
different
right?
approach, you know.
Hmm.
You have to be a little bit of a chameleon if you're a salesperson, and it's not manipulation, it is direction. um,
Yep.
it can sound like manipulative, but it's really not in my case anyways.
No, it's not. It's the fact of you're doing a really good job of understanding who your patient is,
Hmm.
right? Because there's not a sign on, Nelly's wall that says you're only allowed to come in here if you've been to a medical aesthetics practice 100 times.
Yeah.
People are reaching out for products and services. And you know what? As a patient, I am a patient. My wife's a patient. Lots of my friends are patients. We need information.
Yeah.
I actually do want to look better. I actually do want to feel better, but I don't have all the information. You do. So please tell me. And this is where so many providers get it wrong, Nelly, is that they don't get deep and understand why they're really there. Yes, 20
Right.
units, blah, blah, blah. It's deeper than that.
I can sit here and tell you the stories of, you know, people just from, and this is going to sound very dark, from, you know, patients coming in because their loved one, you know, ended their life,
Oh,
to
jeez.
I have to look good for, you know, my ex-husband is going to be at my daughter's wedding and I cannot stand his new wife and I have to look like, you know what I'm saying, like there's such
Yeah, yeah.
gamut.
You hear all the shit.
I love it. This is what I like.
Yeah,
I'm like, girl, let's go. We don't have time
yeah,
for this.
yeah. We're gonna
Let's go
dial
to
this in
traffic.
now.
We need to get you to what you need to. You know, like it's kind of fun. Um,
Hmm.
and that's what I appreciate about the industry. To be honest, to me, the med spa industry can be extremely superficial, and I am kind of disillusioned by a lot of different things. Um, I always have like people saying, "Oh, are you going to go to this conference or to that conference?" I'm like, you know, no, I'm not going to any conference. I'm concentrated. I want to optimize my business. I know what I'm doing. Of course, there are many ways to learn about the industry. And every time I go to a conference, I end up buying another machine. So I'm, you know, try to keep my money because I get hypnotized by all these salespeople,
They're
and
good.
they're good. They're good. You know, they're good. But yeah, I prefer, I'm in the people's business. I am in the people's business, whatever business that is. I am in it right now. I am exploring and I'm building a digital product academy, a digital health academy for women over 35, high achieving, doing, it's called the Reset CEO,
Hmm.
CEO Reset.
Hmm.
And that's where my focus is going to go, online, building these products, helping women all over the world. I'm getting into health coaching, and I'm excited about that. I haven't been excited about anything for a very long time because I've been grinding and hustling for a very long time.
Yeah.
And this project is exciting. So um, things to come, good things coming.
Yeah, totally. And I know that when we were exchanging emails, I know that you've been talking about a lot of coaching, spirituality stuff, focusing on yourself. And I get that as an entrepreneur. You build something, it's kind of like automated in a way,
Yeah,
and you've been grinding, and it's not easy to go from zero to what you are right now is not easy.
it's not.
Social media may look like it's easy, guys, but we all know there's a lot
I
of
mean, that's
blood,
still
sweat, and
when you
tears and
lay
lonely.
when you
Yeah,
lay down at night, you know, you got to deal with a lot of stuff. So
you do. You have to deal with a lot of stuff. I mean, from a 1-star review to an employee that leaves, takes all your trade secrets, to a patient that texts you on Christmas Day, or like, it's very hard being an entrepreneur and being a practice owner.
especially in this industry, because it is
Yes.
all about face forward. It is all about perfection. It is all about
Hmm.
filters. It is all about like unrealistic expectations. So you right now in the industry, you have to be a very well-rounded person, human first,
Yeah.
to be able to deal with everything out there. And you have to have a very deep rooted sense of purpose in order for you to survive as a provider. If not,
Oh,
you're gonna get, you're just gonna get trampled by the industry. So
you have to have a deep why. You truly do. And if it's like, what, one of the things that I keep hearing from you is you like people, you like having conversations,
mhm.
you like getting to know people, you're nosy.
Yeah,
That's a big part. And you mentioned one other thing, that
I'm very interested. I'm very interested in people's like in people's stories. That I think that I live every. If you sit in my chair, and you tell me a story, I'm gonna leave it through you and with you, and it's
I love that.
wonderful. It's wonderful. So that is going to be a little bit more that I'm going to explore more of that on my coaching program, which I'm super excited to start.
It's almost like every patient has a new movie for you to
Oh
watch, right?
yeah.
And everybody's got an incredible story. And I think, like, we have to do a better job as asking those questions and getting to know who our patients are, because a patient is somebody that's taken the time out of their day. They're going to come drive to you. They're exchanging time for dollars to feel better, look better, but at the same time, they want to build a relationship with their provider. And
Absolutely.
you said something else that I thought was really genuine, really authentic. You said, "I'm not the best injector."
Yeah.
I don't know what qualifies the best injector. Actually,
Oh, there are a lot
I
of qualifications by a lot of
sure,
injectors out there.
oh, for sure. But like, is that just an acronym, or is that, like, what truly makes you the best injector? And I would argue that there's a lot of people I've had on the show, and a lot of friends in the industry that are incredible marketers, that
Hmm.
are incredible people, and they are incredible at business, and they're good injectors,
Yeah.
right? They're good at their skill set, and they do have the ability to achieve the result and the outcome that their patients are looking for.
Mhm.
And you have to have you have to be who you are,
Yeah.
right? You have to own that. And I think when people try to own something that they aren't, that's just delivering a false expectation,
Absolutely.
and
There are a
it's
lot of people out there like pump, like tooting their own horn and doing all sorts of things, and vote for me over here and vote for me over there. I'm like, for me, that's just like, give me a break. Why? I don't want to get into like this whole thing,
mhm,
but there are a lot of people out there that are just disingenuous and stealing people's money. And
yeah.
I refuse. I literally refuse to be part of it. So there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to learn still.
Yeah. Well, you're a sweetheart, and I can see why your patients are so loyal and love and care about you. And it's like, I almost feel it too. Like, if I came over to see you, I'm sure
Oh,
we'd
you would.
we
You
chat
would.
forever, and you get to know who I am. And I mean, and that's what it's all about. It's
Sure.
building this rapport. And so, as you've gone from growing this practice that continues to gain traction, gain profitability, just continue to evolve and grow. Walk us through some of the tech that you use
Mhm.
that helps automate things from patient acquisition to patient of record, communication boards, like some of those things.
So the longest lasting company that I have is the one that you used to, be part of, or you still a part of.
Hmm.
Growth 99. I love you guys so much.
Awesome.
I think Growth 99, it is the most solid website marketing communication company. And I don't even use half of the things that you offer. But the stuff that I use, which, I mean, you guys built my website like 3 times already. You are so on point on communication, responsiveness. Um, it's really wonderful because it's very rare, very
Mm.
rare that I have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars with marketing companies, and I haven't gotten a third of what of of the value
Mm.
that I have gotten with your company for the amount of money that I'm spending every month. So I'm very grateful for Growth 99 to help set up my tech. I work with Weave as well, which is the new company, a newer company, and they just are all about text messaging, emails, communication. You can there is a payment link with that service. Um, Very seamless. All of my employees have the app on their phone, so if you are
Hmm.
running around, you can just answer everyone through your phone. You don't have to have the company phone.
Hmm.
And the other one is Patient Engine. I'm working with them right now, and they are doing a lot of Facebook marketing for us. Again, really good responsive company. They are on chats with like all of the team members. Very strong knowledge of Facebook marketing,
Hmm.
which after years of trial and error, I think we've gotten closer to what we can do with Facebook and Instagram marketing. And I'm not a big spender. I only spend about $3,000 a month. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Everything
On
else,
the ad side.
yeah, everything else is in house. Is
Okay.
a little bit of social media, but it's referrals and it's just reaching out. We're very good at outreach, and we're going to get even better when I hire that virtual assistant to just create that relationship with patients and bring them back, and Groupon, to be honest, like
Yeah.
cheap. You just need, with Groupon, you need to know your, obviously, the cost of your product, the cost of the person that's doing the treatment, the length. I mean, how many patients you can see in an hour profitably, create a little bit of profit. And I used to have a very strong Discord and Seoman for years offer on Groupon, and it brought me pretty much everyone up until a couple of months ago when I started doing Patient Engine and Aesthetic Growth Venture, which is another company. But now my focus is away from the injectables in Groupon and more so on the aesthetic lasers, IPL, laser hair removal, which I had already, but they were not performing very well.
Hmm.
And the reason why is because I was like, I'm just trying to make money. I'm just trying to run in a profit, but I was not getting the foot traffic. So right now we're just kind of seeing the different strategy where the cost of the service and the product is not as high because of the laser, it's just the laser.
Hmm.
And then, running, getting that loss leader instead of being the injectable, which you can get into a lot of debt. I'm still paying for like the injectables for the Groupons. So it's not
Yeah.
like it's,
Yep.
rainbows and butterflies, but it's definitely not that. But you still make, if you're smart about that consultation, if you're smart about the relationship, if you're smart about the follow-up, you will see that profit the second time that patient comes in, the third time, the fourth time. So,
So what you're saying is you could still use Groupon
oh yeah.
as a loss leader in the sense of patient acquisition.
Hmm.
You're not going to make as much profit on the first visit,
So the
but you do a really good job of getting them back in.
Correct. So to think about it, right? In a way, when we do Facebook marketing, we're spending anywhere from 125 to 200 to $250 for the acquisition of that patient, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then we think about the lifetime value of the patient. Depending, it could be up to like $3,000. And with Groupon, you can cut that at least 30%, because
Mm.
then you don't have the cost of the marketing agency, because it's not
Yep.
just the Facebook ad budget, but it's the marketing agency as well that tackles on, and then it's the booking people that charges you per booking.
Right.
So when you compound all of that, you're paying 175 $200 per patient for acquisition, and you still have to pay for the product. So
Sure.
it's not, that is just to have them their butt seated in a chair. That is
Right.
not to inject. That's not the cost of your, of your practitioner, and that's not the cost of your product. So you're actually looking at a good 250 to three hundred
Mm-hmm.
dollars, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
For
Yeah.
that advertised patient. When in Groupon, I can get the same patient for 150, 118. So it's you have to play with the numbers. Patients coming from Groupon, they have a certain feel to them, where they might not come with open wallets all the time, but they still want to look and feel good. And it's your job to recommend. It is your job to open your heart and say, hey, you didn't ask me, but I'm still going to tell you what I do here.
Mm.
you know, it is your job to build that treatment plan and have them, you finish with your service, sitting them on a chair and saying, my aesthetic consultant is going to come and give you pricing on all of that we talked about, and talk about cherry and care credit and all these different things, and make it so that the patient is informed, it is welcome, it is loved, and then you can follow up with them and see if they want to start. But it takes effort. It's not a
Yeah.
given. It is not a 1 2 3. Oh, what about, oh, you're from Groupon, oh. No, it's like you're a queen and you're a king when you sit in that chair, and I can't read your pocketbook. you, some people have different, what may be, what you might have, someone that comes with a lot of money and not a lot of like need, right? Or somebody with no
Mm-hmm.
money, but it's so apparent, I have this event to go to, I need to look good, I don't care, pump me up. So
Yeah.
you wouldn't know if you don't ask.
Interesting.
Hmm.
So you treat everybody, and this is really great
This
to understand.
this
Every lead channel that comes in, you treat them the same question, same process, same qualifications.
everything. You know why? Because I build my practice on Groupon. I build my practice on the discounted patient. That is
Mm.
BS. Complete bullshit. Sorry, my French.
Mm.
Because you don't know that you're not in this person's pocketbook. So, yes, they make. I have so many stories, Cameron, about people coming in for 20 units and leaving with $2,000 package.
Yeah.
So many stories, and not because like, even if they didn't think about it, they just come in for it. I'm like, okay, what about, oh yeah, I'm losing, I'm in my new girly era. Oh, tell me about it.
Yep.
Well, I'm trying to lose weight. I'm trying to, this is going to make me feel, oh, let's talk about your weight loss. What are you doing? Boom, 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 boom. And then now you have a whole new patient for weight loss, or now you have a whole new patient for body contouring that she didn't even know you did. So it is a great introducer to the practice, especially for new injectors that are not out there. Nobody knows who they are. So,
This is huge. I mean, you done it. I think it gets downplayed, right? Groupon, it gets downplayed. Oh, it's discount. It's the patients you don't want. It sounds to me you look at
let
that through a
everybody do
completely
that.
different lens.
Let
Yeah, let everybody let them do
You know
that. You're
what?
like, I'm okay.
I'm
I'm
good.
okay as long as you take them to the same qualification standards. Get to know them, like you said. You don't know what their pocketbook is until you start asking questions, and they may not have a lot of money, but they have a big need,
Yeah.
or they may have a lot of money and they have a small need,
Yeah.
right?
Or
And
they
and that's
may
a
had
really good
no
point,
money and a lot of friends. And
and a lot of
now you
friends.
take care of them, and then they're like, oh my God, Nelly took care of me. She's this, she's that. She's honest. She's not trying to push anything. The office is clean. Her staff is wonderful. I'm just gonna send everybody there. And you tell me, you know what? Do not purchase on Groupon. Get it through us. We're gonna give you the same deal, and then one after the other. And it's kind of like I have an entire families coming to get their stuff done by us. You know,
Amazing. Started with one patient, started with one ad, guys. Came in, she treated him correctly. She took care of him. She made him feel home. She made him feel comfortable. And I mean, that's what it is, you know. Then the word of mouth referral grows and grows. Now let's talk about patient lifetime value, right? You're talking my language, like patient acquisition cost, patient lifetime value. I mean, running a Groupon ad, you said 118 bucks, 150 bucks. They come in. Now they refer you 10 people. Those 10 people spend, let's call it $4,000 a year.
I'll tell you something.
I mean,
Check this
this is
out.
real stuff.
Check this out. I have this patient coming in years ago. When I was in Liquid Vita. She came in for a Groupon. She was for like 20 units of Botox. She stayed for the filler. She put me in touch with her coworker. I went to do this is like a healthcare office, so I went to like a Botox party in like another business. Someone there referred me to their hairstylist. Okay,
Hmm.
I have made hundreds of thousands of dollars from one person.
It's crazy.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars from one person because that hairstylist, she looks amazing. She's like, and she's beautiful regardless. She's just, whatever I do, it just enhances her
Yeah.
freaking genetic makeup. It is incredible. And we all have those patients that they're like,
Hmm.
darn it, you know? And they all ask her, like, oh my God, you look so beautiful. Where do you go? Oh, I go to Nelly. Oh,
Yep. Boom. Right at town. That's where I'm going.
you know?
And there's people in her chair every single day.
But if I would have been like, Groupon, oh no, oh my God, yeah, let me just do your talks, get out of here. It defeats the whole purpose. And like
Right.
that, I have hundreds of stories.
This is
So,
unbelievable.
don't be too high and mighty if nobody knows about you. If you're not a plastic surgeon or a huge dermatologist, like just grind, get to know the business, get to know your people, pay your
Hmm.
people well, pay your people well. Hire slow and fire fast. And I have stories about employees and all sorts of things, from people who did not who should have never worked for me. For years I had them because I felt obligated. I felt like
Yep.
I was the savior and I wanted to save them and I wanted to be nice, where they almost wrecked my whole thing. um,
I think
you
we
know
all are, like, we as entrepreneurs and business owners, like there's this hope aspect sometimes. I hope they come around, or they'll eventually they'll figure it out. They in my experience they don't. if they
unless
if they
they
shouldn't be on the bus, they
wanted,
shouldn't.
correct, unless they wanted to make an effort, personal effort.
Yep.
um, there is no way because you can
Mm-mm.
barely change yourself. How are you going to change others? You can barely change your habits. You have issues. I have many issues changing my habits, changing my,
Yep.
you know, anything in my life because we're
Mm-hmm.
creatures of routine. How are you going to go ahead and try to change somebody if they're not willing to? So that goes with everything, but especially with employees. So
Oh, yep.
that's that's
People are the hardest. It's I think part of entrepreneurship. Like there's so many things that are hard, but managing the people, getting the people to work well together,
mhm.
to understand the mission, to understand the values, to continuously be disciplined, not even motivated, like just show up every
Show up,
day.
do what you were taught, like you were
Do your top.
hired to do.
Yep.
Um, it's tough, and not everybody has the same resilience, commitment, willingness, um, heart
Hmm.
to do things. So
Well,
it's
you've been
I wouldn't
amazing.
change it for the world. I wouldn't change it for the world. This is what I love it. I love to have opportunities to be better and make a difference. Um, and I could never get back to God willing. I can never get back to like working for someone unless I wouldn't take any money. Like it's crazy. I don't care. I probably would. I would make it there regardless.
Unhirable.
Yeah, that is. It's so
Yeah.
funny to say that. I am unhireable. Knock on
I
wood.
have friends like that, and I would put me in that category too. It's like once you've been on your own journey for long enough, it's it comes with its own face of challenges, right? It totally does, and we have to accept one over the other.
Mm-hmm.
But we like to own our own destiny and enjoy our own journey. So I
100%.
get that. Well, it's been wonderful having you on.
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate you sharing your story, your journey, everything that you've used to bring this success forward. I know that you have a tremendous amount of success in the future,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to continue to do great things. And so I appreciate you sharing everything that you did today. If people want to reach out to you, if they want to connect, what's the best place? Should they hit you up on Instagram,
Yeah,
or
hit
where's the
me up
best
on
avenue?
Instagram at live_vibrant_medspa, live_vibrant_medspa. They can go to my website, livevibrantmed.com, livevibrant med.com. And get in touch, ask questions. I'm gonna be start charging for this information.
For sure, I
There's
know you.
a lot of value
Yeah,
on living and working the path and going from zero to whatever at this point. But at this point, I'm an open book. At some point, I
yeah.
will be charging for business information, and I keep all of us will continue to grow. So
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate everything that you shared today. It was really insightful. And I think you bring a lot of light to some struggles that practice owners or soon to be practice owners are facing or going through. Maybe open up some opportunities that they haven't looked into before.
mhm.
And, going back to your why, because I know as an entrepreneur, as a practice owner, it's not easy. Every day comes with some sort of face of challenges,
Every day.
and have that purpose, guys, have that intent. So Nelly, I'll leave it at that. I know you're super busy. I know that you got patients to serve and people to chat with and treatment plans to give. So thanks again for joining. You guys, please go visit her, go follow her on Instagram, drop her a DM, connect with her. She's obviously built something super valuable and incredible, and just has a different lens on how she views patients, how she connects with patients, her tech stack, really understands her numbers, understands treatment plans, understands how to communicate not with throughout without being salesy, with really just giving information. And
Thank
I think there's a
you.
lot to learn.
Thank you so
Yeah. So
much
thank you
for
so
that.
much. I'll leave it at that, guys. Until next time, happy injecting.